cried the senior surgeon. His face was suddenly blanched, his mouth twitching like the mouth of one stricken with almost insupportable pain. "For God's sake, Miss Malgregor," he pleaded, "can't you call it my Canadian trip?" Wider and wider the white linen nurse opened her big blue eyes at him. "But it's a spree, sir," she attested resolutely, "and my father says—" Still resolutely her young mouth curved to its original assertion, but from under her heavy shadowing eyelashes a little blue smile crept softly out. "When my father's got a lame trotting horse, sir, that he's trying to shuck off his hands," she faltered. "He doesn't ever go round, mournful like, with his head hanging, telling folks about his wonderful trotter that's just the littlest, teeniest, tiniest bit lame. Oh, no! What father does is to call up every one he knows within 20 miles and tell 'em, 'Say, Tom, Bill, Harry, or whatever his name is, what in the deuce do you suppose I've got over here in my barn? A lame horse that wants to trot. Lamer than the deuce, you know, but can do a mile in 2:40. Faintly the little blue smile quickened again in the white linen nurse's eyes. "And the barn will be full of men in half an hour," she said. "Somehow nobody wants a trotter that's lame, but almost anybody seems willing to risk a lame horse that's plucky enough to trot." "What's the lame trotting horse got to do with me?" snarled the senior surgeon incisively. Darkly the white linen nurse's lashes fringed down across her cheeks. "Nothing much," she said. "Only—" "Only what?" demanded the senior surgeon. A little more roughly than he realized, he stooped down and took the white linen nurse by her shoulders and jerked her sharply round to the light. "Only what?" he insisted peremptorily. Almost plaintively she lifted her eyes to his. "Only my father says," she confided obediently, "my father says if you've got a worse foot, for heaven's sake put it forward and get it over with." "So I've got to call it a spree," smiled the white linen nurse, "'cause when I think of marrying a surgeon that goes off and gets drunk every June, it scares me almost to my death. But—" Abruptly the red smile faded from her lips, the blue smile from her eyes. "But when I think of marrying a June drunk that's got the grit to pull up absolutely straight as a die and be a surgeon all the other 11 months in the year—" Dartingly she bent down and kissed the senior surgeon's astonished wrist. "Oh, then I think you're perfectly grand," she sobbed. Awkwardly the senior surgeon pulled away and began to pace the floor. You're a good little girl, Ray Malgregor," he mumbled huskily. "A good little girl. I truly believe you're the kind that will see me through." Poignantly in his eyes humiliation overwhelmed the mist. Perversely in its turn resentment overtook the humiliation. "But I won't be married in June," he reasserted bombastically. "I won't, I won't, I won't. I tell you I positively refuse to have a lot of damned fools speculating about my private affairs, wondering why I didn't take you, wondering why I didn't stay home with you. I tell you I won't. I simply won't." "Yes, sir," stammered the white linen nurse. With a gasp of relief the senior surgeon stopped his eternal pacing of the floor. "Bully for you," he said. "You mean, then, we'll be married some time in July after I get back from my trip?" "Oh, no, sir," stammered the white linen nurse. "But, great heavens!" shouted the senior surgeon. "Yes, sir." The white linen nurse began all over again, dreamily planning out her wedding gown. Her lips, without the slightest conscious effort on her part, were already curving into shape for her alternate "No, sir." "You're an idiot!" snapped the senior surgeon. A little reproachfully the white linen nurse came frowning out of her reverie. "Would it do just as well for traveling, do you think?" she asked, with real concern. "Eh? What?" said the senior surgeon. "I mean, does Japan spot?" queried the white linen nurse. "Would it spot a serge, I mean?" "Oh, hell with Japan!" jerked the senior surgeon. "Yes, sir," said the white linen nurse. Now perhaps you will understand just exactly how it happened that the senior surgeon and the white linen nurse were married on the first day of June, and just exactly how it happened that the senior surgeon went off alone as usual on his Canadian trip, and just exactly how it happened that the white linen nurse came home alone to the senior surgeon's great gloomy house to find her brand new stepdaughter still screaming over the turquoise-colored stockings. Everything now is perfectly comfortably explained except the turquoise-colored stockings. Nobody could explain the turquoise-colored stockings. But even a little child could explain the ensuing June. Oh, June was perfectly wonderful that year. Bud, blossom, bird song, breeze, rioting headlong through the land. Warm days, sweet and lush as a greenhouse vapor. Crisp nights, faintly metallic like the scent of stars. Hurdy-gurdies romping tunefully on every street corner. Even the ash man flushing frankly pink across his dusty cheekbones. Like two fairies who had sublet a giant's cave, the white linen nurse and the little crippled girl turned themselves loose upon the senior surgeon's gloomy old house. It certainly was a gloomy old house, but handsome withal, square and brown and substantial, and most generously gardened within high brick walls. Except for dusting the lilac bushes with the hose, and weeding a few rusty leaves out of the privet hedge, and tacking up 3 or 4 scraggly sprays of English ivy, and regreening 1 or 2 bay-tree boxes, there was really nothing much to do to the garden. But the house! Oh, ye gods! All day long, from morning till night, but most particularly from the back door to the barn, sweating workmen scuttled back and forth till nary a guilty piece of black walnut furniture had escaped. All day long, from morning till night, but most particularly from ceilings to floors, sweltering workmen scurried up and down step-ladders, stripping dingy papers from dingier plasterings. When the white linen nurse wasn't busy renovating the big house, or the little stepdaughter, she was writing to the senior surgeon. She wrote twice. "Dear Dr. Faber," the first letter said. "Dear Dr. Faber, how do you do? Thank you very much for saying you didn't care what in thunder I did to the house. It looks sweet. I've put white fluttery muslin curtains most everywhere, and you've got a new solid gold-looking bed in your room. And the kitty and I have fixed up the most scrumptious light blue suite for ourselves in the L. Pink was wrong for the front hall, but it cost me only $29 to find out, and now that's settled for all time. I am very, 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 very busy. Something strange and new happens every day. Yesterday it was 3 ladies and a plumber. One of the ladies was just selling soap, but I didn't buy any. It was horrid soap. The other 2 were calling ladies, a silk one and a velvet one. The silk one tried to be nasty to me. Right to my face she told me I was more of a lady than she had dared to hope. And I told her I was sorry for that, as you'd had 1 lady and it didn't work. Was that all right? But the other lady was nice, and I took her out in the kitchen with me while I was painting the woodwork, and right there in her white kid gloves she laughed and showed me how to mix the paint pearl gray. She was nice. It was your sister-in-law. I like being married, Dr. Faber. I like it lots better than I thought I would. It's fun being the biggest person in the house. Respectfully yours, Raymel Gregor, as was. P.S. Oh, I hope it wasn't wrong, but in your ulster pocket, when I went to put it away, I found a bottle of something that smelt as though it had been forgotten. I threw it out. It was this letter that drew the only definite message from the itinerant bridegroom. "Kindly refrain from rummaging in my ulster pockets," wrote the senior